Some nights, I can't help counting someone else's wins instead of my own. The ballroom was alive in a way I wasn't. Champagne glasses clinked, polished shoes echoed across marble, and laughter bounced from every corner. Groups formed and reformed like tides, each circle glowing with stories of wins, of big deals closed, of milestones achieved. Every handshake carried confidence. Every toast carried celebration. And me? I stood near the edge of the room, empty glass in my hand, my smile tight, my chest heavier with every story that didn't belong to me. The sensory detail etched itself in, the crystal clear sound of glasses colliding, the sting of bubbles rising from someone else's champagne while my own glass sat untouched. It wasn't just a party, it was a scoreboard, and tonight I was sure I was losing. A peer bragged about a multi-million-dollar deal, voice booming like an announcement meant for the whole room. Another described a property snapped up in record time, laughter echoing like a reward for their speed. Heads nodded, smiles widened, and I felt smaller with each word. The envy in me wasn't loud, but it was relentless. It whispered as I adjusted my collar, as I shifted the glass in my hand, as I forced my mouth into a curve that looked like a smile but didn't feel like one. Why them? Why not me? The emptiness in my glass became a symbol I couldn't ignore, proof of what I lacked, of what I hadn't achieved, of the milestones I hadn't reached yet. And as the room filled with the sound of their wins, my thoughts filled with silence about my own. I couldn't think of what I had done. I could only measure myself against what I hadn't. The night wore on, and I realized something brutal. I wasn't listening to them. I wasn't celebrating them. I was keeping score, counting their wins like they were evidence of my loss. And at that moment, I didn't feel like a peer. I felt like an outsider. Sometimes I forget that my pace doesn't have to match theirs. The comparison trap isn't new to me. It shows up in every scroll, every event, every conversation where success is laid out like a feast. And each time, I find myself starving at the edges, even when I've eaten. The root is layered. There's business competition, the constant measuring, the unspoken race where the finish line keeps moving. In real estate, in entrepreneurship, in leadership, someone is always ahead. And if I'm not careful, I start living like catching up is the only point of the game. There's cultural obsession with status, the way value is measured in titles, deals, cars, addresses. The way success is defined not by peace of mind, but by what can be displayed and applauded. And there's the habit of social comparison itself, the reflex to scroll and shrink, to hear someone else's story and immediately weigh my own life against it. The mirror questions sting. Do you scroll and feel smaller with every success you see? Yes. The images of vacations, houses, awards, they compress my chest until breathing feels harder. Do you measure your life against someone else's scoreboard? Yes. And the scoreboard always seems rigged. Their points shine in neon, mine hide in shadows. The universal theme is obvious: comparison, not inspiration, not healthy competition, but the corrosive version that steals joy and erases gratitude. And yet, wisdom offers a reframe. Your journey isn't late, it's yours. That line stops me cold when I let it sink in. Because beneath all the noise, beneath the envy, and the self-doubt, I know it's true. The symbolic cue still rests in my hand, an empty glass. Everyone else's seems full, sparkling, overflowing. Mine feels like proof of lack, but maybe it's not proof. Maybe it's just perspective. Maybe my glass is waiting for me to fill it with my own wins, my own story, my own pace. I forget too easily that I've achieved things I once prayed for. I forget that my path doesn't have to look like theirs, that the milestones I reach, slow, steady, sometimes invisible, still matter. But forgetting is easy when the room is loud with celebration, and remembering is hard when your own voice gets drowned out by comparison. Still, I know this. Their path isn't mine. Their timeline isn't mine. My pace doesn't have to match theirs. But knowing and living it are two very different things. The ballroom was designed to impress. Tall ceilings draped with chandeliers, waiters gliding between clusters of conversation, a band tucked into the corner playing a steady rhythm. From the outside, it looked like success, polished into an event. But inside my chest, it felt like a storm. Every conversation I overheard seemed to highlight a gap in me, a deal closed, a new expansion, a project that landed right on time. Their words sparkled as if rehearsed for applause, and applause always followed. Meanwhile, I stood there rehearsing my own lines, the excuses I could give if someone asked how my year was going. Lines that masked the truth, lines that kept me from admitting that lately I had been second-guessing my every move. The envy wasn't loud at first. It whispered. But envy has a way of whispering until it roars. By the time I overheard the news of the deal I lost, it had already burrowed deep. When my peer announced it, his grin wide and natural, the sound of laughter around him hit me like thunder. I tried to join the ripple of smiles, tried to stretch my face into agreement, but the muscles resisted. The thought loop came in sharp and merciless. They've taken the deal you wanted. They're moving ahead while you're standing still. You'll never catch up. You're falling behind. The sound in the room grew distorted. Glasses clinking became like hammers striking against steel. Laughter swelled until it seemed to rattle the chandeliers overhead. The music from the band blurred into the background, nothing but noise pressing against my skull. My body betrayed me. My palms grew damp around the stem of the glass. My heartbeat stumbled into a sprint. My shoulders curled inward, as if to shield myself from being seen. And still, I sipped at the empty glass, pretending I belonged, pretending I wasn't unraveling inside, pretending that envy hadn't turned me into a shadow standing at the edge of the room. I drifted toward the wall, each step quieter, smaller. Retreat disguised as casual movement, but I knew what I was doing. I was disappearing. In that corner, I thought maybe I could breathe. But the truth followed me there. I wasn't just comparing. I was collapsing. I had made myself invisible in a room where no one had asked me to vanish. And as the night pressed on, the heaviest thought of all landed with a thud inside me. Maybe I'll never catch up. Maybe I was never meant to. That was the lowest point. Not just envy, not just inadequacy, but hopelessness. The silence of my kitchen hours later was a different kind of heavy. No chandeliers, no laughter, no clinking glasses, just the low hum of the refrigerator and the stillness of night pressing against the windows. But inside me, the loop still played. You're behind. You're not enough. I stared at the blank page of my journal. The pen rested in my hand like a weight I wasn't strong enough to lift. I thought about closing it, walking away, numbing myself with work or noise. Anything but this. But something small, a flicker of resolve, maybe just exhaustion with my own self-punishment, kept me seated. I pressed the pen down, and the scratch of ink across paper broke the silence. Closed my most complex deal in May. I almost laughed at how small it looked, just a line on a page. Compared to their headlines, it felt trivial, but I didn't stop. Mentored a younger agent. A memory surfaced, their nervous voice on the first day, their gratitude when they found their rhythm. It wasn't a deal, but it mattered. It had weight. Present for my child's school play. The image sharpened, the stage lights, the way their eyes searched the crowd until they found mine. That moment wasn't about business at all, but it was a success in the truest form. 3 lines, and suddenly, the page didn't look empty anymore. It looked alive. The symbolic moment etched itself in me, the steady tick of the pen as proof that milestones don't need champagne to matter. They need recognition. They need presence. I sat there staring at those words, and something shifted. The grip of comparison loosened. The fog began to lift. The reframed insight landed. Their win doesn't erase mine. Their celebration doesn't cancel my milestones. Their timeline isn't the one I was born to follow. The mantra rose in me, hesitant at first. My pace, my path, my proof. And again, until my voice filled the silence of the kitchen. My pace, my path, my proof. Each repetition cut through the residue of the ballroom, replacing thunder with steadiness, envy with clarity. Finally, the anchor landed with the force of truth. I'm not late. I'm on time for me. I sat with that line until it became more than words, until it became air in my lungs, until it became released. And when I closed the journal, I realized something I hadn't felt all night. I wasn't invisible. I had been seen by the only person who needed to see me in that moment, myself. That was enough. My pace, my path, my proof. That's the mantra I carry into practice. But mantras need action to stay alive. Without action, they stay in the air, fragile, dissolving at the first hint of envy. So I built a ritual that forces me to pause, to name, and to claim what is already mine. I call it a milestone inventory. It's not complex. It doesn't take hours. It doesn't require applause or approval. It requires honesty. The practice begins with a pen and a blank page. Tools so simple, they're easy to dismiss. But when envy claws at me, when the scoreboard of someone else's life screams louder than my own, those tools turn into anchors. I sit down and write 3 milestones from the past 12 months. Just 3. Not every accomplishment, not a full biography, just 3. Sometimes they're obvious. Closed the deal that looked impossible. Paid off a loan I once thought would bury me. Expanded the team with someone who believes in the vision. Sometimes they're quieter. Didn't miss my child's bedtime this week. Choose rest over another late-night email. Spoke kindly to myself after a mistake. Each line feels like a brick laid into the foundation of my self-worth. Not to build a wall, but to build ground beneath my feet. At first, I resisted the practice. My mind wanted to argue. 3? That's too few. They don't matter. They don't compare. But the more I wrote, the more I realized comparison thrives in vagueness. It dies in specifics. When I leave my wins unspoken, envy fills the silence. When I name them, envy loses its power. The affirmation is clear. My path is enough. I repeat it as I write, letting the words guide my pen, letting the sound reshape my inner voice. At times I whisper it, almost afraid. Other times, I let it roll off my tongue with the conviction of a man defending his own ground. The grounding symbol is the pen itself. That click, that scratch, that line drawn across paper, it steadies me. It proves presence. It proves I'm here, living, building. And the reassurance that comes with it is simple but profound. Your scorecard isn't theirs. Each repetition chips away at the illusion that life is a race with a single track. Each line I write reminds me I'm not running behind. I'm walking my own road. Even in this small ritual, I feel the heaviness shift. The envy that once filled the room quiets. The scoreboard fades, and in its place rises something steadier. Gratitude, perspective, enoughness. And that, more than any applause, is what I need to keep moving. I'm not behind. I'm building on my time. That's the truth I hold tonight. At work, it means I no longer chase headlines that don't belong to me. I still celebrate others, but I don't confuse their story with my own. When peers land deals, it inspires me, but it no longer defines me. At home, it means my worth isn't measured by the size of my wins, but by the steadiness of my presence. The milestones that matter most, the meals shared, the games played, the moments of laughter, they're not late. They're right on time. In myself, it means I finally understand that my pace has its own rhythm. Some seasons are fast, others are slow. Some look flashy, others are quiet, but all of them belong to me, and that belonging is enough. My path, my pace. The closing symbol is simple. My journal, shut gently with milestones written inside. Proof that I am enough. Proof that comparison doesn't own me. Proof that my path, however winding, is still mine. I'm not behind. I'm building on my time. And I wonder, what's one milestone you're proud of, even if no one else sees it?